Okay, it's the Barbados Dental Report. I'm not ready to publish the industry averages and norms that I've discovered while being here, but I've learned a great deal about dental practices in Barbados. I was here over a decade ago and had a client that asked me to appraise their practice. They weren't quite ready to sell at the time. I did another appraisal here about 7.5 years ago for a very, very large established practice that ended up selling to the family member. I've done 3 other files while I've been here this week. So I've learned a fair bit about seeing the averages and knowing, and it's just fascinating. Dental supplies, a little bit more than our Canadian averages, only because the VAT, the value-added tax they have to pay to get stuff here, everything comes by boat or by plane. So it's just a little more expensive to get them here. So dental supplies are running about 9 to 11% of revenue in most of these practices. Of course, there are outliers, a little higher, a little lower here and there. Dental laboratory, typically a little more here because they have to send a lot of it out. Most of the dental laboratory work is going overseas, so there's all the additional cost of getting things on and off airplanes. Wages a little lower here, not substantially lower as one might think, but as a percentage of revenue, wages are hovering around the 18 to 22%, which is a little lower than the Canadian average. So those are your 3 top items. Rent is still a bit of a puzzle to me because most of the people here that I visited actually own their properties. And they can pay themselves any rent they want, and I haven't determined fair market rent in Barbados. So I'm still working on the rent equation. So wages, supplies, lab, and rent, those are the top 4 expenses. It's remarkably similar, and there are a few other costs. Insurance is a little more expensive down here. So overall, currency adjusted, the average Barbados dentist is generating a little less revenue than Canada because their dental fees are a little bit lower. Although here's an outlier, some practices are charging about $300 for a hygiene appointment. And that's Barbados dollars, so converted to Canada, it's about a 72% conversion today to Canadian dollars. So they're easily generating about $200 to $225 an hour, currency adjusted to Canadian dollars. That's pretty much what's happening in Canada too. I was very happy to see that. So I'd say the Barbados dental economy is pretty stable, very strong. Barbados has had an up and down economy over the years, but COVID, Barbados put out basically a stamp program, which is like a tourist stamp, and they would let you come and stay as long as it took because no one knew how long the pandemic would last. So it was a work from away program. They were one of the few nations that opened their doors to say, come on down, Canada. You know, get your COVID test, get your vaccines, get on a plane, come on down. You'll have to isolate while you're here. So you have to rent a property or a hotel and isolate according to whatever the protocols are. But many Canadians came for that, and many have ended up staying. So they have a tremendous new influx of Canadian. I'm in a brand new building here. You can see behind me there's another brand new condo being built right here on the west coast. So there's quite a bit of development. Barbados is bouncing back nicely, and I think Canadians should really look at it. It's a nice nation. It's a friendly nation. Barbadians love Canadians. We are very well received here. Yes, we have our little Canadian flag that we travel with to make sure we're not confused with other nationalities, but I think you really need to look at Barbados. If you're aging like I am and you want to spend more time with toes in the sand than toes in the snow, this may be the place to be. I'm Timothy Brown with the Barbados Dental Economic Report, November 2025. Thanks for watching.